Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
All right, it has been a long time since I have walked out of a film and I looked internally to myself and I said, if I die tonight, it will all be okay with the world because I have seen this movie. It's been a long time since I've said that, but I honestly felt that. Noel T. Manning II here with Thomas Manning, and we're going to be spending some extensive time talking about said film. So that is a preview of things to come. Thomas Manning, good to see you, buddy. Welcome back.
So we're talking about the Warwick Davis film Leprechaun, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. No, we're not talking about the Leprechaun, but there are some little creatures in here that may not have human existence. So
Sure,
that
yeah.
is true. That part is true.
Oh man,
So
but I
what
am
are we talking
delighted.
about, man?
Delighted to be here to be talking about a new Steven Spielberg film, Disclosure Day. And there was a movie I saw a few years ago that kind of reminded me of a young Steven Spielberg. It had this character named Sammy Fableman, and okay, I'm doing my research now, and it looks like that was actually a semi-autobiographical film from Steven Spielberg. Okay, my apologies. But yes, that was Spielberg's last film, was The Fablemans, back in 2022, and that was kind of a look at his childhood years and what kind of sparked his interest and his passion for filmmaking. And I think it's kind of fitting that after a film like that his next film would go back to those science fiction roots that kind of had him burst into the mainstream when you go back to 1977 with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He further explored, extraterrestrials with E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Later on, of course, you had War of the Worlds, and then Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull even had a little bit of that in there. But now, I think Disclosure Day is probably his definitive alien film. And I think it's kind of the culmination of everything that he's been exploring throughout his career as a whole, but also throughout his look at the potential of aliens. And I think he's very much making a statement here that, oh yes, I 1,000% believe the aliens, are somewhere within the cosmos and very possibly here with us on Earth.
Yeah, and I want to add one more film to the list that is not a Steven Spielberg directed film, but he produced J.J. Abrams' Super 8, which also definitely dives into the alien expansion of the world. And if you look at that film, I really do feel like the DNA of Super 8 has got Spielberg's fingerprints all over that film. So, I wanted to throw that one in the mix, even though it's not a directed film. Spielberg did co-produce that. But the film we are talking about is Disclosure Day. And just an advance to our audience listening, the Meet Me at the Movies audience, I have no idea how long we're going to talk about this film because we have a lot to say. So it is possible, entirely possible, that this may take the entire show. And it has been a long time since we have dedicated an entire show to just our deep dive review, our thoughts, our personal interactions. I mean, there's so much that we've got to say. And so I guess we can get started, Thomas, with Disclosure Day, starring Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, and Coleman Domingo, and also Eve Hewson, the daughter of Bono. So there's a lot to say about this film. And just to let our audience know as well, we got an early screening of this. We got to check this out with a lot of our film critic friends, but also it was a marketing screening, so there were advance tickets that were given out for contests and others. So it was a full house for this, and a movie like this, watching it with a full house is something that I would prefer, especially when audiences are invested in the adventure of it. You and I have been to screenings that the audiences just don't care. They just got an extra ticket, and they're distracted more than anything else. But films like this, when we're seeing screenings like this, we know that there's going to be a crowd that's fully into it, and they were for Disclosure Day.
Yeah, and sometimes for people who look at movies the way you and I do through a very critical and analytical perspective, sometimes while we're watching movies, we're mentally writing our reviews in the moment, and we say, okay, I want to make sure to highlight this particular moment, this individual camera shot, or this specific performance from this actor playing this character. And I think that mindset does have its merits for certain movies, but I also think some movies occupy this special place and have this effect where it makes you forget you're even watching a movie. And it's not that critical and analytical side of your brain is turned off, but it's kind of compartmentalized and stored somewhere else, because the part of your brain that's just totally driving the experience is that part of your brain that made you fall in love with movies to begin with. And I think that is that is the side of my brain that had the wheel with Disclosure Day. And you mentioned the audience factor. It's one of those where it's palpable within the room that the audience is like physically leaning into the screen to further immerse themselves. And yeah, just like that. Yeah. Actually, I think we should just record the rest of the show like that to really give the audience.
Just lean into it. Yeah, our buddy Greg Tillman would appreciate the extreme close-ups of leaning into, for sure.
Yeah. And I cut myself shaving a few times, so you might have to edit out a few of the blemishes here and there. But so to give you an idea of the work that VFX workers have to do in post, paint out stuff like that. But yes, that Disclosure Day. I was going back through films in the past few years that have kind of given me this just like buzzing, levitating feeling walking out of theater. Last year, I think Sinners gave me that. A few years prior, Top Gun Maverick. And I'm trying to think of other films from the last decade. I mean, I could probably name a few, but like off the top of my head, it was Sinners and Top Gun Maverick was kind of my reference point for just in terms of the physical, mental, and emotional feeling exiting the theater.
Well, we're gonna do something right now that we never do. We're gonna give you our rating for this movie. If you don't already have an idea, we're gonna do this up front, and we'll come back afterwards as well. But for A+ for Disclosure Day, Thomas, and it's been a long time since I've given an A+ to a film, but I'll give this up front. Go ahead and let you know we love it. If you don't already know, we love this movie.
Yes. Yeah. And there's many reasons that we will present as to why we're giving it that A+. But I think first I want to talk a little bit about the structure of the film, which is all three acts are basically a different genre. You go from first act, a political intrigue, paranoia thriller. You've got that. The second act is like just this thrilling chase movie, and where you find yourself just holding on tight to your armrest in the theater. And I mean, chase movies, that was like Spielberg's very first movie. Duel was effectively a chase movie.
Right.
It's all baked in there. And then, third act is just this like, symphonic, transcendent exploration of, the human spirit and our limits, but also our potential as a species. And it's very much within that is an exploration of faith as well, that I know we're going to dig into that. But that's what really impressed me, is that I felt like I saw three distinct films within this one film, but I don't say that in a way that it felt like it was a mishmash of stuff that didn't make sense. It just felt extremely natural from one act to the next, the way it was like a perfectly balanced smoothie, which yeah.
and the third act itself was also disguised as a behind the scenes look at breaking news on TV. There's this one outlet that is going to break this story that will literally change the way that we see the world. And I am not exaggerating that. I'm not hyping that up. That is exactly what's happening. There's one network that has all the cards because of what's happening and the people connected, or one person connected to that network. And all of a sudden we are behind the scenes. We're in the control room. We're seeing this stuff unfold. And you talk about the immersive nature of this film, that we felt like we were along for the ride. We weren't just viewers. We're not just an audience sitting in a theater. And that is exactly what I felt with this movie. Honestly, Thomas, from the beginning, and we were thrown into the story. I mean, the story was already happening. We're thrown into it. We don't know how far into it we are, over the grand scope of how long some of this stuff has been going on for a particular character. But we're thrown into it with Josh O'Connor's character, and he's worked at this corporation that has been the keeper of secrets. The keeper of secrets for specifically the United States government, and we're seeing that Josh's character has decided, and we find this out in the first 15 minutes. And if you see the trailer, so this is not a spoiler, but you see that his character has decided. Now, there's right and there's wrong, and there's knowledge that's worth having for everybody to be able to experience, and I need to be the one that finds a way as a conduit to share it. And of course, we see that at the very beginning. I mean, it opens up, Thomas, with a literal kick in the face, dude.
Yes.
We are getting kicked in the face. That's the opening scene. It's in this big arena where a wrestling match is going on, and the wrestler's kicking the camera in the face. And so I'm like, dude, that is a wonderful way to start this journey. And he's just an audience member, trying to avoid being seen. And all of a sudden you realize, oh gosh, he's not only seen, he's surrounded by people who want to take what he has.
Yeah, and for a split second, I thought they might be playing the wrong film when it opens up in this wrestling match. And I'm like, this does not seem like everything that I've seen going into this, the Disclosure Day is going to be. I don't think there was any WWE that I heard about. But sure enough, yeah, there it is. I like how you phrased that, a literal kick in the face to start the film. And I don't think I hadn't even put that together, just how apt that is for the way the film is going to take you for the rest of the journey. But yeah, and another interesting thing about the way this first act opens is my kind of preconceived notions going into the film were that the disclosure portion was going to take place maybe within the first act or going into the second act, and then the rest of the film would just be the aftermath of that. But no, it's the bomb under the table, as Hitchcock talks about. It's the suspense of knowing that there is this huge world-shaking event that's, this huge piece of information that someone's going to reveal, but it's just holding on to that and not doing it right away. And that's, how that's just the journey of this film is when is this information going to be shown to the masses?
Spielberg is truly a master. He's continued to prove it over and over and over again. But anytime that Spielberg's name's attached, I am going to check it out. And I tell you what, Thomas, this one met and exceeded my expectations. I really, honestly, had no idea I was going to come away from this film with so many different emotions, so many different thoughts running through my head. It is a film that will make you think. It will engage your senses. If you just like to go to a film because you want the ride, it's going to do that. But it'll also make you laugh at times and make you even cry in moments. And so, Thomas, we're at the halfway point of the show. So yeah, we're going to spend the rest of the show talking about Disclosure Day. So for our audience, I want to tell you it is in theaters now, and Thomas and I will possibly see this 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times this summer, if that gives you any indication, if we haven't already, on how much we appreciate this film. Thomas Manning, Noel T. Manning II here. This is C19 TV's Meet Me the Movies on Spectrum TV. Stick around. We've got more right after this intermission.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come
Hi,
and
I'm
watch
Tim
a
Buster, your host for Blue and Bold Monthly right here on C19 TV. Get to know the coaches and student athletes of Cleveland Community College Athletics on Blue and Bold. We go in depth as we discuss cross country, track and field, volleyball, baseball, men and women's basketball, and softball. Catch Bull and Bold airing on C19 TV and online at c19.tv.
Want to stay connected to everything happening at Cleveland Community College? C19's monthly show In the Loop brings you the stories, updates, and the highlights that matter most right from campus. From program spotlights and upcoming events to alumni interviews and college updates, In the Loop keeps you informed and engaged. Catch home game schedules for all CCC athletics, plus fun and meaningful conversations with the Yeti along the way. Whether you're a student, employee, alumni, or supporter of CCC, this is your inside look at life on campus. Tune in monthly on C19 and stay in the loop with Cleveland Community College.
We always have had
That's
a
true.
certain courtesy to other people upon their retirement or somebody's passing.
I got something nice to say about our retirement.
Well, we're not.
Good riddance.
Oh, was it you?
First, he put giant flagpoles on the White House lawn like it was a Buc-ee's, and then he cemented over the Rose Garden. Then he turned the Oval Office into a place that looks like a New Orleans cat house.
Well, I'm sure President Obama evaluated both candidates and went with the best one, better one.
Yeah, one of
But
them
I
had a D
was-
by her name.
One cannot help but wonder why. Betsy, one possibility would be that the Hurricanes are now afraid to enter the newly named Gulf of America while Trump's in the White House.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Welcome back to one of the best movie shows of the year, just because it's not because it's the great show, but dang it, it's a great movie. Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's latest film in theaters now, and it has set the bar for the summer, Thomas. And I want to let our audience know that if you like Spielberg, if you like the Jurassic Park kind of stuff, if you like Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you like what he did in Close Encounters of the Third Kind or Jaws, and those vibes that Spielberg produces through sights, through sounds, through camera, all of those things are here. Every single one of those things you're going to find. You're going to find the great chase scenes. You're going to find moments that are going to make you cringe and wonder what's going to happen next. All of those things, those Spielberg blueprints, DNA, it's here. So if you like that stuff, if you love that stuff, if you want to embrace that, it is all here. But man, there is so much more, Thomas, so much more. But I do know you wanted to mention some specifics relating to the technical aspects of this.
Yes, so Spielberg is known for having these long takes, or what you and I call one-shots, that feel so effortless that you don't even realize that 2 or 3 minutes have gone by with no cuts. And, whereas in other films that have these impressive oneers, you're sometimes actively thinking to yourself, okay, still haven't cut yet. Okay, now it's been 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But with Spielberg's, he isn't doing it just because he can. He's doing it because he feels compelled to for narrative reasons, and it's commenting on a character's situation, or it's communicating a piece of information about that character, and sometimes your brain doesn't even clock that it was a oneer until after the fact. And there's one of those specifically with a scene with Emily Blunt in this film that kind of stuck with me, that I almost turned over to, we were sitting next to our friend Andrew Eisenman, and I almost was like, was that a wonder? And again, this kind of plays into my earlier point that Spielberg over time has perfected this formula for speaking to the audience and kind of enveloping us in this experience, which on a deeper thematic level is what this film is all about. It examines what can happen within the narrative and the characters themselves. It examines what can happen when they surrender themselves to something greater than themselves. And that's kind of the audience's experience with watching this movie as well. You know, it reminds us that we could all benefit from taking a moment to listen, to see the beauty and the chaos all around us, and to see how it's intertwined and how it coalesces, and how, you know, sometimes there's harmony, sometimes there's dissonance, but it's all a part of the human experience. And there's definitely some deeper spiritual elements that I know that you wanted to discuss as well.
Oh, absolutely. I do want to tag on to that before I dive into that. We live in a world that's fractured, and many would say it's always been fractured. We're just more aware of just how much now because of our instant access, and that kind of plays into this film as well. That everything that's happening in the world, we instantly know about it, and this film shows that. It shows it with people on their phones, with people on their laptops, so they know what is going on in the world when the news is sharing it. And I think within a fractured world, if we do take the time to listen to those, even those that we disagree with, whether we disagree with them on social boundaries, religion, politics, there's so many different things that we can disagree on, but there are just as many that we can agree on if we take the time to listen and to be aware. And I think that that's something that this movie does a great job at trying to convince us of, or trying to speak to us. I don't say it's trying to convince us. I think it's trying to speak to us and get us to listen. There is a theme of faith that runs through this as well that's really strong. Eve Hewson, Bono's daughter, plays a character who was in training to be a nun, and she left that, and she is the girlfriend of Josh O'Connor's character, but she's still got this strong faith connection, and you see her struggling with the question of if we are not the only species in the universe, how does that affect my faith? How does that affect other people's faith? And that is a really strong question that is answered. There is a particular character who answers that in a way that I'm like, wow, that is
cites scripture even.
Absolutely. It's quite beautiful. And Thomas, we've only got 6 minutes, so we're not going to get through everything we want to, but I did want to mention that, and I'll let you kind of take over from here, buddy.
Yeah, and kind of what I want to draw back on what you mentioned about the disagreement factor. And I do think there are some statements about that, of how in order for a functioning society, there does need to be some healthy disagreement on some things. But I think just as direct of a statement there is in this film to be found about there is right and wrong, and some things are just on the most human of levels. You feel compelled to stand on that truth because you know it is the right thing, and it is the right thing on this world and all other worlds, and that's specifically as it relates to the Josh O'Connor's character, and just some things that he witnesses that profoundly change him and show him that that's kind of the spark for what creates him more fully as a character. And it's a movie about how empathy, patience, and intelligence, when those are combined to an extent, is pretty much you unlock the secrets to the universe. And and no human being can ever fully reach that, but it's kind of the aspiration of that maybe drives us forward as humans, and drives us to form a healthier functioning society and world that we're living in.
Spielberg is a master storyteller. I've said that, and I'll say it over and over and over again. And he can take somebody's idea that's written on a napkin and create a masterpiece. And this is a film that I will see multiple times. When it comes out, I will own it. And you hear us say it for certain films, this is one see on the biggest screen you can. See it with the best sound that you can possibly endure with your ears, and embrace the ride. And if you can find like a 40x version of this, dude, I mean, take advantage of it. The script, every aspect of this movie clicks, Thomas. The script, the casting, the acting, the sound design, the effects.
Do we mention there's a guy named John Williams? He scored this
Yes.
at 94
Yes.
years of age.
Yes.
Still
So the
cranking
score,
it out.
Yeah, I can't believe
Yeah.
we didn't mention the score. So it does. It clicks on every single part. There was only one element that drew me out just a little bit. There was a CGI animal. I'm not going to say what the animal is, but there were several animals in this movie. But there was one that kind of took me out of it just for a moment or two. And you had your own thoughts on why maybe that didn't bother you. But that's my only drawback on this. Everything else clicked. But I say, to me, I think the greatest message I got out of this, the people who were trying to keep the secrets about, is there life beyond humanity, who were trying to keep the secrets of the answers, they were driven by fear and control. And ultimately, hope can overcome that if you allow it to. And I think that's the greatest message that I got out of this, is that sometimes we give into fear, we hold on to it, and we let it control what we decide to do, who we decide to talk to, where we decide to go in the world. But if we listen to hope, if we listen, it can change everything in a way that maybe we never, ever expected. Well, Thomas, just 1 minute left. Any final thoughts or comments?
Well, yeah, like how sometimes there is no objective truth for, certain arguments. But there are other times where the truth will find a way to reveal itself. If it's a truth that is 100% certain and undeniable, that'll find a way to, reach the people that it needs to reach.
Disclosure Day is the film. Steven Spielberg is the director. It is in theaters now, and we deeply appreciate you letting us spend time with you, offering just some of our thoughts. We've got so many more, but just some of our thoughts on a film that spoke to us in so many different ways. As I said, as we launched this show, it's been a long time since we've wanted just to talk about a film and keep talking about it and keep talking about it and keep talking about it. And so when I say that this film is a conversation starter, I am not saying that lightly. You have been watching. Again, what are our ratings? What's our rating, Thomas? What's your rating for Disclosure Day?
Let's see. We got a AAA+, I believe. Yeah,
that's exactly right. A+ for Disclosure Day, and we highly recommend this film as much as we possibly can. I am Noel T. Manning II. You have been watching Meet Me at the Movies. Thomas Manning has been along for the adventure that is Disclosure Day. And for all of those who take the time to be with us, we appreciate it. And to the cast and crew and Tim Foster, who gives us this opportunity, I thank you as well. Until next time, for Meet Me at the Movies, I'm Noel T. Manning II. That's a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.